What would you do if you discovered a letter from the future predicting the exact moment you were supposed to die? That terrifying possibility becomes the emotional core of Season 8, Episode 2 of Outlander. For Jamie Fraser and Claire Fraser, the war for American independence is no longer their greatest fear. Instead, their real enemy may be something far more powerful: time itself. At Fraser's Ridge, the atmosphere has quietly transformed. What once felt like a hopeful sanctuary now carries a heavy tension that lingers in every corner of the house. Jamie and Claire spend long nights studying the Mackenzie family journals that Brianna Mackenzie brought back from the future. These journals are not simple historical records, they are warnings. Inside the pages lies a chilling reference to the Battle of Kings Mountain, a battle that history claims will be Jamie Fraser's final moment. For a man who has survived countless wars and impossible odds, Jamie has never feared death in battle, but facing a prophecy written centuries ahead of time is different. It's not an enemy he can fight with a sword or strategy, and that realization begins to weigh heavily on him. Claire sees it in the quiet moments. When Jamie looks across his land, his family, and the life they built together, there is a subtle sadness behind his strength, as if he is already saying goodbye. For Claire, the burden is even more complicated. As a healer and a woman from the future, she has spent her entire life fighting to save people. But how do you save someone from history itself? One night, the two sit together in their candlelit study, the flickering light casting long shadows across the room. The journals lie open between them like a map of a future they desperately want to avoid. Claire insists that timelines can change. After all, they have altered history before. But the deeper they read, the more impossible the situation begins to feel. They debate whether to tell the rest of the family about what the journals reveal. If Brianna and Roger Mackenzie knew that their research might have predicted Jamie's death, the guilt could crush them. So, for now, Jamie and Claire keep the truth to themselves. But secrets have a way of growing heavier with time. Jamie now faces a choice that no leader should ever have to make. Should he continue preparing his men for war, knowing the battle ahead may be the one that ends his life? Or should he try to avoid the conflict entirely and protect the family he loves? Anyone who knows Jamie Fraser understands the answer already. He is not a man who hides from fate. But as the tension grows within the Fraser household, an entirely different danger arrives at the Ridge, one that threatens to shatter the fragile peace they have built. New tenants arrive, and with them comes a man whose loyalty could destroy everything Jamie stands for: Captain Charles Cunningham. Unlike the Highland settlers who trust Jamie completely, Cunningham represents the power of the British Crown. He is disciplined, observant, and deeply loyal to the king. From the moment he steps onto Fraser land, the air changes. Every conversation becomes careful. Every dinner table exchange feels like a strategic negotiation, because Jamie now faces an impossible balancing act. To the outside world, he must appear as a welcoming landlord, but in truth, he is secretly supporting the revolutionary cause against the very empire Cunningham serves. And if that secret is exposed, Fraser's Ridge could collapse from the inside. But the danger lurking within the community is only the beginning, because before the episode ends, tragedy will strike the Ridge itself, proving that sometimes the greatest threats don't come from prophecy or politics. They come from the people living right next door. Captain Charles Cunningham does not arrive at Fraser's Ridge as a loud enemy. Instead, he enters quietly, politely, almost respectfully. But that calm surface hides something far more dangerous. Unlike many of the settlers who follow Jamie out of loyalty and trust, Cunningham represents a completely different world. He is a soldier of the crown, disciplined, observant, and loyal to the British Empire above everything else. And that makes him the most dangerous kind of neighbor Jamie could have. From the moment he settles on the ridge, every interaction becomes a careful game of strategy. At the dinner table, conversations sound friendly on the surface, but underneath them lies a battle of hidden meanings. Cunningham studies every word Jamie says, every reaction Claire makes, every strange detail about the Fraser household. Jamie knows exactly what kind of man he is dealing with. Cunningham is not just another tenant. He is a trained officer who understands war, deception, and loyalty. In many ways, he and Jamie are mirror images of each other, two soldiers standing on opposite sides of history. One of the most intense moments of the episode happens during a quiet walk through the woods. Jamie and Cunningham ride together through the trees, discussing politics and loyalty in a calm, almost philosophical way, but the tension between them is impossible to ignore. Cunningham speaks about honor and duty to the king. Jamie listens carefully, choosing his words with precision. Every sentence feels like a test, as if both men are trying to uncover the other's true allegiance without revealing their own. The problem is that Fraser's Ridge is no longer just a peaceful settlement. It is becoming a battlefield of ideas. Some of the newer settlers begin to admire Cunningham. They see him as a symbol of order and stability in uncertain times. Meanwhile, the Highlanders and longtime residents remain fiercely loyal to Jamie. The ridge slowly begins to divide into two camps. And this division is exactly what Jamie feared most. Because according to the journals from the future, the downfall of Fraser's Ridge doesn't begin with an outside invasion. It begins with conflict from within. Claire senses the growing tension too. As a healer, she spends time visiting families across the ridge, and she notices the quiet arguments, the whispered doubts, the growing suspicion spreading through the community. But the situation becomes far more dangerous when something unexpected happens. Elizabeth Cunningham discovers one of Claire's medical tools. At first glance, it looks harmless, but the design is completely unfamiliar to anyone living in the 18th century. The materials, the craftsmanship, even the shape of the instrument feel strange and unnatural for the time. Elizabeth studies it carefully, and suddenly a terrifying possibility begins to form in her mind. What if Claire Fraser is not just an unusual healer? What if she is something far more dangerous? Before Claire can even process the growing suspicion around her, disaster strikes the ridge without warning. Smoke fills the air. Shouts echo through the settlement. A section of the community that took years to build suddenly erupts into chaos as fire spreads through homes and storage buildings. The night sky glows orange as families rush to save whatever they can. For a horrifying moment, it feels as if the prophecy from the journals is unfolding faster than anyone imagined. Jamie immediately takes command, leading the rescue efforts and organizing the settlers to contain the flames. Claire runs toward the injured, turning a nearby cabin into an emergency surgery as people arrive with burns, broken bones, and smoke-filled lungs. Brianna and Roger join the effort as well, using their modern knowledge to stabilize collapsing structures and prevent the fire from spreading further. But even as the flames die down, the damage is devastating. Homes are destroyed, supplies are gone, and worst of all, trust inside the ridge is shattered. People begin asking questions. Was the fire an accident, or was it sabotage? As the exhausted settlers gather among the ruins, Jamie realizes something deeply unsettling. The tragedy has achieved exactly what their enemies might want: fear, division, suspicion. Later that night, while the ridge finally falls into an uneasy silence, Jamie and Claire stand together at the edge of their land, staring into the dark forest. Jamie admits something he has been hiding all episode. Even if the journals are right about the future, he refuses to spend the rest of his life waiting to die. Instead of fearing the prophecy, he decides to face whatever comes next head-on. But just as the episode seems to settle into quiet reflection, the final scene reveals something chilling. Deep within the tree line, a mysterious figure watches Fraser's ridge from the shadows. In his hand is a small piece of evidence connected to the fire, proof that what happened tonight was not an accident. And as the camera slowly pulls away, one terrifying truth becomes clear. The real enemy of the Frasers may already be living among them.